Are there any patterns that you see over and over again in the women who find you?
Yes. And overgiving, people pleasing is absolutely one of them. And when you're aware of it, you make a little change or you elevate your awareness around the thing. And then when you get the next wake up call, what we tend to do is beat ourselves up and say,
Right.
oh my gosh, look at me.
Look
Here
what
I
I
am again.
learned.
What have
What
I?
is
Right.
wrong
I'm
with
a
me?
loser. I'll never figure this out. I try so hard, but here I am back at square one again. Absolutely, you are not back at square one.
Welcome to Late Bloomer Living, the podcast where we're all about shaking up our ideas about what it means to grow older. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your resident age agitator and play instigator. Around here, we believe midlife is the perfect time to play, to reinvent, and bloom like you mean it. Let's go. At what age do we stop living by other people's expectations? Can somebody please answer that for me? Seriously, when does that switch flip? Today, we're going there with someone I adore, and I have had on the show before, the amazing Wendy Perrotti. Wendy is a master level certified coach. She's a speaker and author who helps women over 50 reclaim themselves. Is that you? Stick around. And what I love about Wendy is that she blends science and psychology and soulful humor. And she's back with something brand new. It's a grown up picture book for people pleasers called Keep the Tomato. And yes, it's as delighting and disarming as it sounds. It's whimsical. And in this conversation, we're going to get into why so many of us lose ourselves under the weight of expectations, how to take our power back without burning everything down, and why playfulness might actually be the most direct route back to authenticity. If you've ever wondered why you feel sidelined in your own life, you're going to find a lot of comfort and clarity here. So, without further ado, here's Wendy Perrotti. Wendy, thank you so much for being with me today.
I'm so excited to get to play with you again.
Me too. Me too. I love that you said play with me again.
Yeah, I know your words. I know your words, girl. I'm with you.
You know my buttons. Okay, so you work with women over 50 who are trying to figure out what's next. Are there any patterns that you see over and over again in the women who find you?
Yes. And overgiving, people pleasing is absolutely one of them. Overthinking is another one. Perfection is another one. People pleasing, I think, is probably at the top of that list.
Why? Why do we do this?
Honestly, I think it's a combination of more than one thing because not every person, not every woman is an overgiver. Not every woman is a people pleaser.
That's a great
Although,
clarification. Okay,
right?
yes.
But many of us are. Many of us are because it's been part of our culture, part of our evolution to care for others as women. It's part of the way we've been trained for generations and generations. It's also for some people part of their sort of trait mix, right? The way we're all wired with a mix of traits that inform the way we engage with the world. And for some of us, this generosity of spirit is aligned with that trait mix. And I use the word aligned because we also have a value system. And for some of us, that there's a deeply held value around generosity, around kindness, around caretaking and giving. And it's so important to understand that those are critical components of why we overgive, why we people please. And those are things that we don't want to let go of. They're inherent to the best of us, right? Because they're parts of what make us who we are, the pieces that we love about ourselves. But then
Yeah.
there's this other piece where the environment has played upon us. And in this little marriage of the things that have happened to us, the places we got smacked down, the things that made us afraid, the things we've heard people say as judgments or as rules that need to be followed, all mix up with that value system and our trait mix and our coping mechanism that we've created. Given all of those elements, is I'm safest and still aligned with myself when I give, when I take care of people, when I please. And then it becomes this self fulfilling prophecy where we create expectations that this is who we are. And then it gets even deeper. We're deeper in it. So it's easy to see when you take all of those elements together why so many of us feel stuck in people pleasing and overgiving.
What do we get out of it?
Oh my gosh, we get so much out of it, right? It feels great to give. It feels great to be helpful. It feels great to know that we are useful. It becomes part of our purpose, right? It gives meaning to our lives. And the feedback that we get is awesome. People love when we're giving, when we're generous, when we're kind. So we get so much out of it. The purpose of this book and of the conversation that we're having here today is not to say pleasing, generosity, giving is a bad thing. It's not. But when it's on overdrive, everybody gets except us. And that's where things go left.
Yeah. Although maybe the thing that we're still getting is that is it ego driven? Like, is there that because there's got to be something that I feel like that keeps it in place, right? Even when it has gone overboard and we're keeping something in place that doesn't perhaps serve us the best, even when we're suffering, we keep giving, and it must be because we're getting something.
For sure, every part of ourselves that become part of our coping strategy can also actually also does align with our ego, right? It becomes part of our identity. It's what makes us great. Maybe even it makes us better than we fear we are without it. So there's an element of ego that can come into place. For some people, it's a way of maintaining control, right?
Hmm.
If our lives feel out of control, but we're giving all the time. When we're doing that, we're controlling the situation. When we're making people happy, giving them what they want, we're actually controlling to the best of our ability their mood and their reaction. So there's a lot of ego involved. We get a lot out of it. Any coping mechanism that we have because it makes us feel safe.
Yeah. The things we learn when we're little to
Yeah.
do that maybe don't serve us as much when we get older, maybe. Was there a moment in your own life when you realized that you were living by expectations that weren't actually yours?
I would love to say that there was this one landmark moment that woke me up and I said, holy cow. Um, but I could probably tell you 15 different stories like that, that at different points of my life, I could say that was the moment, right? But with each one of those wake up calls, each one of those things where I said, oh my gosh, I have nothing to offer in this conversation. Like, I'm a servant now. I take care of this for my husband. I take care of this for my kids. I take care of this for my parents. And here we are with all these grown-ups that have all these things to talk about. I've got nothing to say unless we want to talk about taking care of people, which nobody does.
So when you say you don't have anything to say, do you mean like if there's a conversation happening about something bigger in the world, do you just feel like you've been swallowed up by caretaking in some way, shape, or form, and that's where your brain has been focused, and so you don't have something to add to a conversation about something else? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think that it's something that I hear from a lot of women, and that was one of my wake up moments in my
Mm,
40s when
mm,
I'm sitting at a dinner party and I didn't have anything to add to the conversation because all I have been experiencing for at that point 5 or 6 years, maybe longer, was taking care of people.
mm.
And again, did I want to do other than that at that stage of my life? No. I made that choice with my eyes wide open. I wanted to be a mom the way I was a mom in my 40s. I wanted to support my husband's business the way that I did. That was the work that I did at that point in time. I chose those things. And yet,
Mm.
because it was also my coping mechanism, it was on overdrive. And oh, so the expectations that I had set was Wendy will do it. Oh, ask Wendy. Oh, ask Wendy. Oh, don't worry about it. Wendy will, oh, just come on over. Oh, Wendy will, Wendy will, Wendy will. Because I'd set that expectation based on my own values and choices. And now the thing had gotten so big, right?
Yeah. So if you had 15 different touch points, let's say personally, where you recognized this overdrive for yourself, I always say that like I've had aha moments at various points in my life, and then I've made changes. And I always say it's not one and done. Like even just when I think I've got something handled, I realize that I'm nowhere near having it handled, right? Did you,
Exactly.
is that what those 15 different touch points were? Was like you
Exactly.
thought, okay, so clearly I need to make a change here. You thought you made the change, but then smack upside the head, something comes and you go, oh, I'm doing it again. Dang.
Exactly. And each one is like a different version of a wake up call. And when you're aware of it, you make a little change or you elevate your awareness around the thing. And then when you get the next wake up call, what we tend to do is beat ourselves up and say,
Right.
"Oh my gosh, look at me.
When
Here
will
I
I
am again.
learn
What have
what
I,
is
right?
wrong
I'm
with
a
me?
loser. Right? I'll never figure this out. I try so hard, but here I am back at square one again." Absolutely, you are not back at square one. Each wake up call unfolds something else for you.
I love that. Say that again.
Each wake up call unfolds something else for you. And we just have to allow ourselves to sort of dance in each one of those moments and look for resources that will help us, right? That's
What does
why,
that look like?
it can be a conversation with somebody who's not a people pleaser. Someone who you think is, wow, this person is the most boundaried, healthily boundaried person I've ever met. Conversation with a person like that. It's why we turned this into a picture book to make it like an accessible way to gain skill sets, right? It's a little fable, this picture book, and then it gives you 6 different things that you can do to make those little shifts in the unfolding.
You want to touch on any of those right now or one of
Sure,
them or
sure. So obviously the first thing you need to do is understand what you're telling yourself. And maybe that's not obvious, right? Um, to
is
be
that
a
like the story you're telling yourself?
Yeah, like what is
Yeah.
our narrative around that?
Yeah.
What is our narrative around it? I have to do this because X. This is who I am because Y. If I don't, this might happen or this will happen. All of those narratives that we make or that we create around our behaviors actually drive our outcomes, right? The way the little cycle works is we've got this thought feeling loop where we have a thought, it gives us a feeling, or we have a feeling, it gives us a thought. And from that little loop, we create our action or inaction. And then that creates our outcome. And that outcome is the thing that drives our belief. It gives
Hmm.
evidence to a belief we already hold or that we're playing with that might be true, right?
And the loop just keeps on
And it keeps
looping, doesn't
going
it?
and
Because you've got
strengthening the
evidence.
belief.
You're like, I see, I knew that. I'm right.
Exactly right. So
Yeah.
the only place we can interrupt that loop that will actually work, we try to interrupt in the action space, right? I'm going to do something differently. But if that action is still fueled by the same emotions and thoughts, it's going to have a similar outcome and it's going to bring you more evidence of your limiting belief about how you have to behave in the world. But
So
when
how
we
do you how do you
interrupt,
how do you interrupt it then? If you
we
don't do it
change
by
the thought.
action, okay, how do you
We
change the
change
thought?
the thought. We
How do
change
you
the
do
thought.
that?
So, um, simplest way to do that is three little steps. The first is let yourself have the thought. Don't try to repress it. So if the thought is, no one will like me, or this person's going to get angry, or I'm going to lose my job, or my marriage, or this friend, or whatever it is, I have to do this. Let yourself have the thought. Just objectively let yourself have it. Give yourself 3 or 4 sentences. Let yourself have it. And then step two, you find another thought that feels, and this is the most important part, equally true. This is not about rose colored glasses or affirmations. You have to find a mitigating thought that feels just as true as that scary one. If I'm
Mm,
not a people pleaser anymore, no one's going to like me. I don't even know who I'd be. So the second thought might sound something like, you know what, though? I think I can maintain my generosity and still do something for myself. I'm kind of rotting here and I don't want it to be like this anymore. Something as simple as that is a mitigating thought. That's step two. Step three, so I'm going to. So I'm going to say no. So I'm going to say yes, but with this caveat, right? And when we practice talking to ourselves in that way, we create this incredibly quick default loop. We'll always have negative thoughts that come into our minds about ourselves. But instead of letting them ruminate or feed old beliefs, now with practice, we go, oh, there's the negative thought. Here's the thing that I also believe that can emit. And so here's what I'm going to do. Those are different kinds of actions.
that's interesting. It's a very improv-based way to approach things.
Yeah,
There's a
kind of
the
cool,
whole
right?
yes
Yes,
and
it is.
exercise. Yes, this is the scary thought, and this is another thought that's equally true. And that there's freedom around that, isn't there?
There's a lot of freedom. There's a
Yeah.
lot of freedom. There's choice in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm also, it's making me think of something that when the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this whole around this whole idea of people pleasing is that when we're people pleasing, we're actually robbing the person that we're trying to please of the opportunity to really be connected to us, to really know us, because we are assuming that we know what they want and proactively managing them and trying to
That's the
control a
ego and control
situation,
piece, right?
right?
That's the ego and control piece. And we can even take that a step further and say, we're robbing them of agency.
Right.
We're robbing them of agency because we think that we can do it better or we think that they need it from us. And they might think that they need it from us. But chances are we're part of that loop that teaches them that they need it from us. We've built this rule book that says, Hey, I'm the tomato lady. I'm handing out tomatoes left and right here. And I love it. I love handing out tomatoes. And so everybody's like, "Yay, here she comes. She's so happy to give me tomatoes. I'll take some more. I'll have some more." And then when we try to shift that, people don't understand. You're the tomato lady. You always are nice. You always say yes. What's happened here? And that disconnect makes everyone uncomfortable. And when we don't know what to do with that discomfort, we fall back on our default.
How do you work through the discomfort if you are in the middle of adjusting people's expectations compared
Yeah.
to what what you've been doing before?
I think the two key words here are boundaries and grace. And those things go hand in hand. As a matter of fact, I think that so few of us were taught what really good boundaries are. And in fact, what we've learned are boundaries that are more reactive than responsive. And those are barriers. Good boundaries are invitations to deeper intimacy most of the time, right? And when we can learn to enact really healthy boundaries, and it's very simple actually to do, and to do that with grace. Um, I can give you a couple of little
Please.
steps.
Yeah, give me some
Yeah, yeah,
examples.
yeah.
Yeah.
4 C's. There are 4 C's. First, here's the grace part, compassionate. If you're about to hold up a boundary, the person on the other side is going to feel a pinch. And when we feel a pinch, everybody feels uncomfortable. And if we're the guy getting pinched, we tend to be automatically reactive, not at our best.
So
And
when you say
certainly,
compassion, you're talking about if I'm the people pleaser and now I'm setting a boundary for my sister, who I always do such and such for, let's just say, and she has a reaction like, well, what the heck is wrong with you? This is the way we do things. I, as the people pleaser, need to have compassion for her reaction to this new boundary. Is that
well,
what you're
yes,
saying?
yes. However, if we start with compassion,
Mm-hmm.
we often don't get that reaction. So the
Mm.
compassionate way is like the what in coaching we would call acknowledge and validating. Hey, I hear that you really need me to do this thing. And I know that I do let things for this like this for you all the time, but I really can't this time. I really can't this time. And I'm asking that you understand that I just don't have the time right now.
Yeah.
And it, what's important about that compassion is it puts people at ease, even if they step on your boundary. Hey, where's my such and such? Actually, here's an important thing. That whole rule that we've learned, no is a full sentence.
Mm-hmm.
It is. You
I
can
struggle
just,
with that one.
right? Of course you do. You can just say no. It is a full sentence.
Yeah.
However, if we are givers, pleasers, and that's a part of our core value system, if we try no as a full sentence, it actually feels counter to our values and doesn't help us become less of overgivers. It has a boomerang effect. So we
Mm-hmm.
can say no in a much more gentle way by honoring. So the first part of setting good boundaries is having some compassion. Hey, some humor even. Hey, I know that I'm the guy who's always here doing this thing. Just like that. Simple humor. And then number two, clear. Clear means the next thing out of your mouth needs to be so simple that everyone knows exactly what you're asking of them. Because if you tell a big story, the person doesn't know exactly what we expect of them. And then we're both disappointed when the boundary doesn't stick. So at that point, it's clear. Hey, I'm sorry, I can't do it this time. Clear, right? The third is it has to also be clean. And by clean, I mean don't muddy it with a big now explanation of why. Because the last time, and I'm so tired, and then this and that. When we do that, the listener only pulls the little pieces that they relate to, and now they've already forgotten what we've asked of them. So clean, no explanation. Stop once you've asked or put your boundary in place. And then the final one is consistent. Unless you repeat the boundary goes away. So when we're compassionate, clear, clean, and consistent, we set really healthy boundaries that don't feel like pinches, that don't feel like barriers. We have to allow people some time to become accustomed to the version of us that we're growing into. And that's what I mean by grace.
Why do you think midlife is such a powerful time for reclaiming yourself?
You know, I think that we're hit on every wavelength in midlife. Biologically, physiologically, we change. Our relationships all change. Our relationships with our friends change. Our relationship with our parents change. All of our relationships change in midlife because it's a growth period. Right? If we look at all of the life stages, the one just before this is build. In those 30s and 40s, we're all about the build, whatever it is that you're choosing to build, whether it's a family, a career, wealth, a legacy, whatever it is that is important to you to build, those years are all about the build. And it's a grind. Even when we're aligned with our values, it's a grind. And then we hit this point where the build is complete for what it was. And we have this wake up call that says either, gee whiz, that's not what I expected it to be. It doesn't feel like enough. Or it feels complete and, what's next?
Now what?
Now
Yeah.
what? And
Yeah.
so at this point, we're searching for what we do with this very natural growth arc that we hit in midlife.
I have to ask because this is my current obsession. Is there a playful way to do this?
Yeah, there's a playful way to do everything. There's a playful way to do everything. And I will say, whatever the playful way is, it's got to be yours. So for me, the playful way is always going to be humor. When I set boundaries, it's with humor all the way. That's the playful way that's natural for me. I have a friend and really close friend who's also she's an executive coach, and for her, it's all about somatics. It is about how she uses her body.
Mm-hmm.
She will dance to release the energy of something big that she's holding, like
Mm.
overgiving. So for different people, I think play looks different. I think that
Play is different for everybody.
right,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
thread, would you say that the thread is like it's a lightness of being?
So it's like experimenting until you find what that is for you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
As a
Could it
matter of
be like
fact,
journaling about it, maybe? Maybe that's playful for you. I've never been a person who could journal regularly. Even though when I do journal, I find it to be incredibly helpful, I've never been able to get into a groove with it. And the closest I've come is doing a little art journal. And I'm not an artist. Like I am stick figure drawing level kind of, talent here, but playing with colors and watercolors or just doodling, guided like artistic activities tend to be like the sweet spot for me. And I'm finding and moving my body is a huge access point for me as well. So
yeah.
like how do you take that and apply it towards this setting of boundaries?
So I think that when you're setting boundaries, the playful approach is what feels lightest and easiest to you. But the idea of play and experimentation is also a key part of overcoming overgiving. Because what's on the other side of it? By experimenting with things that blow your skirt up, right? What are the things that bring you joy? You might even not know anymore. You might not remember what you love or what brings you joy. Playing with those things is a way to empower yourself so that there is that thing you're stepping into as while you're holding on to these core values of generosity
Mm-hmm.
and starting to use boundaries so that you're not overgiving, you're stepping into this new version of yourself. And wouldn't it be cool if that were the playful version, whatever that looks like, meaning the most joyous version of yourself?
Yeah. Is there anything that you wish more women understood about reinvention at this age?
Yeah. Um, there are so many things. I would say that the rules are bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Let go of all of the rules. There is no one size fits all. There is no timeline. And the more we find our capacity to see this as an unfolding, aligned with our own value system, the more likely a reinvention is to happen. And I think the conversation that we had a few minutes ago about no is a full sentence is a perfect example. If you think about the things that all the memes that we see on social media and all of the things that we learn are new ways of being, no is a full sentence. I'm a strong, independent woman. I'm whatever those things are, right? I'm empowered. They create rules, new rules that
Mm-hmm.
become the new limiting beliefs. So
Mm-hmm.
take the things that inspire you, but make them your own. All of it has
And
to
I'm
be
I'm going to
your
add to
own.
that. I'm hearing because what I'm hearing is okay, you've got a new rule, but maybe there's the idea of like what's the rule for today, right? I think about let me see if I can clarify what I'm trying to say. There's what I wanted 5 years ago, and that has changed and evolved. And if I'm still leaning heavily towards that or working so hard on that on to live by those rules or towards that goal, is does it still fit?
Yeah. What we wanted before is likely very different from what we want now. What we're supposed to want is definitely very different from what we really want. And that too is part of allowing yourself to experiment and unfold. You know, you use the word play all the time, and it's kind of critical here. If we watch the way children learn, they learn by experimenting.
We're hardwired to
That
learn
exactly. By
through play. That is
exactly.
hardwired into us.
And if you sign your kid up for Taekwondo and they don't like it, you're going to have a hell of a hard time getting them to go back there, right? Because
Right.
they don't, it's not for them. It's not their cup of tea, right? And they don't beat themselves up. Oh, I was supposed to love this thing. Oh, I was. But we set these expectations about who we're supposed to be, even in reinvention, that completely undermines us. Reinvention is an act of tapping into your actual core values, what matters to you, and then creating a new belief system, not the old limiting belief system, but a new belief system that supports your core values. And the only way we do that is by paying attention to that narrative, what we're telling ourselves every single day that interrupts the pattern, and then when we do that, we get to take action that is an experiment. And if we
I love
love
the
it, we
word
do more.
experiment.
And if
Yeah.
we hate it, drop it like a hot potato,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what reinvention actually looks like.
Do you ever catch yourself slipping back into people pleaser mode these days? And if you do, what brings you back to center?
Yeah. So I definitely, absolutely, 100% still catch myself in people pleaser and overgiver mode. And whatever our key coping mechanisms are, they're going to be with you for most of your life. Okay. We've got a lot of decades under our belt at this point. They are hardwired. But that little three-step system that I just taught you,
Hmm.
oh, I feel like if I don't do this, they're going to be really angry and disappointed. And for me, that's a big one. I don't want to disappoint like the people that I love. Oh my God, they're going to be disappointed. And I hate that, right? I don't even know what it means if they're disappointed. I just know that I hate it. When you notice the thought and you're in the practice, you've set a default in your thinking methodology by like practicing this. The very next thought is, oh, but I know I don't want to be an overgiver anymore. And I know that if they're disappointed, it will be okay. They'll live through the disappointment or they'll say something and we'll work it out. It'll be okay. So I'm going to. So by practicing those three little steps, we create this new system to process our coping strategies so that the actions that we take are creating new evidence for new beliefs rather than old evidence for old beliefs.
Is there anything that, let's say you've said yes to something. Not that I'm pulling this from personal experience or anything. So I've said yes to something and I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing that I said I would do. And I find myself feeling resentful. Let's say in my business as a photographer, let's say I've agreed to do a session and I've agreed to do it for a certain price for certain deliverables that go with that. And I find myself in the middle of doing it going, this is so not worth it. And I feel myself feeling resentful. I'll finish the project, of course. And I actually love to over deliver. And that actually makes me happy. But when I've agreed to do something and I suddenly realize what I've agreed to feels heavy, then I'm resentful and I go ahead and do it. But then the next time I kind of have to go, okay, Yvonne, remember, do not undervalue yourself.
So that's one of the most common things that happens to us as people pleasers. We say yes, and then the resentment builds up because we feel like it's too much. We're overwhelmed by it, right? We're not getting enough out of it, and we're tired, so we feel resentful.
And then I feel terrible feeling resentful.
Yeah.
Ah, it feels
It's also
awful.
out of alignment, right? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I'm not this guy. I'm not this guy that feels resentful. And yet we do. So, in those moments, a couple of things are happening that are important to note. One, you, right at that moment when you notice you're resentful, are actually at choice. You said, of course, I'll finish the project. And it is a professional thing to do to finish the project. But to know that you don't have to. Lots of people pull out of projects all the time. Lots of people do it in ways that other people feel are
It
completely
makes me
unreasonable
want
and
to.
unfair, right? I know it makes us
I'm like
squirm.
my shoulders are coming up around my
It
ears,
makes
and I'm
it
like,
makes us squirm.
yeah, yeah.
So it's about noticing whether that squirm is around discomfort because you're a people pleaser or
Hmm.
because it's out of alignment with your values.
Hmm.
If it's just out of sheer discomfort, and it has nothing to do with your value system, you might want to just drop it like a hot potato,
Yeah.
right? But what I'm hearing is that these are your values. I would never renege on a
Yeah,
contract that I
it's
set with someone, right?
yeah, that's where I feel like I'm those are my values.
But
Yeah.
simply knowing, okay, I could drop these clients like a hot potato, but that's so out of alignment with my value system. So I'm going to finish this off. And next time for this kind of package, this is what I'm going to charge.
Right.
All of a sudden, that energetic drain lightens,
It does. It does.
right?
When I have been able to do that and recognize that, I'm like, okay, it's my fault. And then the resentment kind of lifts when I'm able to recognize that I made the mistake of agreeing to something that was beyond, you know, maybe I didn't realize how much work it was going to be, or maybe I came in and undervalued myself.
Yeah. So I love that you used I came in and undervalued myself. That's a very clear thing that you're telling yourself about what you did. Okay, I had an opportunity. I came in and undervalued myself. Be careful. We all have to be careful about when we say, it's my fault. I did this thing is important for us to recognize because we're driving our own outcomes. And to recognize that actually empowers us, right? I made this choice. I made this choice. I undervalued myself. I'm not going to do that again. It's empowering to recognize that. But when we use language in the same way that when we use language with other people, that it's your fault,
Hmm.
ouch, that's pinch.
Yeah, I hear
And
that.
we have to be just as careful about giving those pinches to ourselves as we do to others.
And I think most often we do that to ourselves more than we do it to others.
Yes,
I'm
we do.
guessing.
Yes, we do. Certainly, if you're in the tomato giving business, you are. Yeah, for sure.
So going back to your let's talk about your book for just a little bit. I love first of all that it's a picture book for grown-ups. It's a format that we don't usually see, but it's paired with this deeply personal transformation. So why this format?
You know, my favorite thing about this book was that it was a whim. And I have a newsletter that I send out to my community every week, and they're kind of musings about my life and or things that are about being in midlife and reinventing, kind of little stories. They're not
Mhm.
lessons, they're just stories. And on this particular week last year, almost a year ago, I started Once Upon a Time There Was a Girl. She was just a girl. And I wrote this little thing, and it seemed so silly that I almost didn't send it. But I thought, I don't have time to write another one. So I'm just going to send this thing off. And this little quick, and it's short, like you can read that part, the fable part of this picture book in 3 minutes. Um, I sent it off and I got such an enormous response from my community, such a huge response. And several people, I'm going to say
Because we've all been that little girl.
for sure, right?
Yeah.
We get it. We
Yeah.
get it. And several people actually said, this should be a picture book. And so my brother's an artist. And for years, I have wanted to do a project with him for years.
Oh,
And I said, we're going to make this into a picture book and you're going to do the art. And he was like, no, I'm not. And I said, yes, you are. It has to be you. And he was like, all right, I'll do it. I'll do it.
wow.
But I'm not an illustrator. I'm not an illustrator. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And he did. So he illustrated this book. And you know, when your gut tells you something, like I knew it had to be him because he brought it to life in a way that only he could. He made it very grown up. He made it very funny by the illustrations that he created. He made it very real. The whole thing has been so much fun for me, so playful for me to get
It
to do this
is.
with my
It's,
brother. And
I love that feeling about it.
Yeah.
So what about this tomato? Where did the metaphor for the tomato come from?
It actually came from a spiel that I was giving my daughter at one point where she's a also overgiver, people pleaser, and she was burnt out with all of the things she was doing for her friends and feeling so resentful. Just feeling resentful, like, how come no one's bringing me soup when I'm sick? Like, what the heck's
Yeah.
happening here? And I was saying, Lila, you give all your tomatoes away every single day. You're giving away all your tomatoes. You have to keep a couple tomatoes for yourself. And by the way, it's okay to ask people, hey, you got a tomato for me today? I don't know why.
It just came out of, I
It
love it.
just came that way.
We're calling that mom wisdom. That's what we're
Mom
doing.
wisdom.
Is there one page or idea in the book that still hits you every time you read it?
Yeah, it's the part where Darna grows resentful because people are expecting things that she no longer wants to deliver. And she says she wished that someone would give her a tomato or even a carrot. And to me, that's like that part of the book and the illustrations crack me up. And then there's the part where she's kind of trying to find herself.
There's like a weird dude standing there at that part, right? Or
Yes,
even a carrot.
yes,
Like
yes. My brother, yes. Again, hilarious. The guy who would like maybe give her the carrot, like very, very funny, at least to me, that page cracked me up. And then the parts of Darna kind of trying to find herself and um Darna's a bee, by the way, for they're all bugs in this book. Um, I think those are the ones that really, really resonate for me. I think they really hit home.
is it a praying mantis in the beginning that she gives the tomato to that's
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
like
yeah.
he's kind of all, I don't know. I don't know. He
Yeah,
kind of looks like a
definitely
homeless praying mantis on the
on the
street. Like,
street, yeah, with a couple of bottles.
right. And he shows up again. I feel like is it the same praying mantis that comes up later, like wanting more tomatoes? But he kind
Yes.
of looks big and strong and healthy this time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
she's brought him back from the brink, but now he's like, still, I want some more tomatoes, lady. How can people get a copy of the book? How can people find you to work with you with your coaching practice?
All of that can be found on wendyperrotti.com. It's really easy. It's just my name. And then the book is available on Amazon. So if you look up Keep the Tomato or my name, Wendy Perrotti, it'll pop right up on Amazon.
Great. And I will have links in the show notes. Wendy, thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with us here on Late Bloomer Living today.
It's always so much fun to play with you.
Thank you. I feel the same way. As we wrap up today, I hope that this conversation with Wendy gave you permission to return to yourself. Wendy's beautiful book, I'll link that in the show notes. Go get yourself a copy if you felt seen today. And if you want to explore what it looks like to live more playfully and more fully at any age, join me on the Play Shop waitlist at latebloomerliving.com/play. It's where we start taking small, compassionate steps towards ourselves, again, with some fun. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep blooming, keep playing. Yeah, bloom like you mean it.